Welcome to Street Talker with Nancy Tansy Busher. Here you will meet artisans from Florida's Gulf Coast and learn about their art. We include their contact information so you may contact them. For a complete list of links, go to artistkaleidoscope.us. Thank you. We are at the Pine Island Artists Day. One of the organizers of the event is D.L. Havlin and his lovely wife, Janelle. They have worked their socks off making such a wonderful event for everyone here. I'm going to let you tell us a little bit about your books, your titles especially, where they're available, and your contact information.
Thank you very much, Nancy. My book titles are The Hanging Oak, that is a ghost story mystery. A Place No One Should Go, and that is a thriller mystery novels. And I have The Cross on Cotton Creek, that's a Civil War historical novel. Blue Water, Red Blood, which is a novel about Florida's contribution to the Second World War. And September on Echo Creek is a woman's mainstream novel, and it's the story of a lady who is trying to break the guilt bonds that her parents and fiancé have exercised over her.
Yes, she's got a very controlling mother, and her boyfriend is a piece of work. You've got to read it. I read it. It's a great book.
Well, thank you, Nancy. We want to thank you very much for coming out and interviewing our authors. It's been great to have you here. I can understand why you're doing the audio and have a show. You do a great job.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been a lot of fun, and I've met some really wonderful authors, and I can't get over the subject matter of all their books. It's fascinating. I would go crazy. I'm such a bibliophile. Do tell me where your books are available. Give us some information where they might catch you on the internet.
The books are available both on the internet, through Amazon, Nook. They can be ordered through Barnes & Nobles. You can order them both through the stores and online. You can get them at Books A Million. As far as my online presence, you can find me at www.dlhavlin, that's DLHAVLIN.com.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
The day is slowly coming to an end, but before we leave, we want to hear from
Gretchen Coyle and co-author Deb Whitcraft, and we have written a story on the Morro Castle, which was a cruise ship that went weekly between New York and Havana. 1934, it was set afire, and you have to read the book to hear who did it and why. But it was, we call it New Jersey's Titanic. It was the worst U.S. maritime disaster.
Oh my gosh, a piece of history that, a lot of us have never heard of.
No. And
how exciting.
It involved Cubans and Americans, passengers and crew, and we have written from the human side of the tragedy. Who were the people aboard? What happened to them? Did they live? Did they die? We've written their stories. We have been to Cuba to do research. And we have interviewed the last two people who were aboard the ship in 1934. One is still alive now. And we have interviewed numerous descendants of people that were aboard that ship.
And the title again?
It's called Inferno at Sea, a story of the Morro Castle cruise ship.
And that was back before Castro.
That was before Castro. It happened on September 8th, 1934. Castro did not come into Havana until 1959.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We have a whole different history with Cuba now.
We were guests of the Cuban government. We went in as journalists. All our visas went ahead of us. Our questions went ahead of us. We spent a day with Ciro Bianchi Ross, who is Cuba's official historian.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. He told us stories about the cruise ship that we didn't know. Deb brought him a thumb drive of 1,000 pictures. It was wonderful.
What a wonderful experience,
it
yes.
was.
Well, thank you very much. Now, where are your books available?
Check us out on Amazon, yes.
And do you have a website?
We have a Facebook page, Inferno at Sea. Books are also available. All our pictures were taken from the New Jersey Maritime Museum, of which my co-author is founder and president. So you can look on www.NewJerseyMaritimeMuseum.org.
Thank you. I'm here now with Chuck Walden, who has a number of books. And Chuck, give us some of the titles of your books and tell us a little bit about them.
Well, my first book is entitled Tears in the Dust. It's a historical fiction that's set against the backdrop of the Spanish Civil War. My protagonist is chased by an evil detective. The backdrop is the Spanish Civil War, but it's still a cracking good story about a bad guy chasing a good guy. That was my first novel. My second novel, Remington and the Mysterious Fedora, slightly different and a little bit on the quirky side because somebody told me that he had never seen a typewriter. It suddenly occurred to me that typewriters are now going to be consigned to a museum. So I had to write a story about a young man like that who found an old typewriter, fixed it up, started it working, and of course he needed a fedora. But when he put the fedora on, the fedora had its own story to tell. And young Josh thought he had found a gold mine. He was going to be able to write his novel. But sometimes when things come too easily to us, there's a price to pay down the road. So it's a story not only of Josh and his struggles, but the story that the fedora has to tell. 2 novels in one. My third novel is called Served Cold. It's based on the Sicilian saying that revenge is a dish best served cold. But I prefer to think of what Confucius said: before we embark on a journey of revenge, we should first dig 2 graves. So this is a story about revenge and what the protagonist has to decide when he gets to the end how he'll take his. My latest, and I'm very excited about, Lion's Head Deception, is a story about an investigative blogger who uncovers a conspiracy and has to decide whether he can go forward with it and go public with it. He doesn't know who his friends are for sure, but he sure knows who his enemy is. Yeah. He gets a text warning at the beginning and is on the run until the end. So there you have my 4 novels: Tears in the Dust, Served Cold, Remington and the Mysterious Fedora, and Lion's Head Deception.
Thank you. Author, of course, is Chuck Walden. How about where the books are available and a website?
The books are available any place that you buy books online. Of course, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or my website, www.chuckwaldron.com. I would be more than happy to ship out a signed copy if anybody orders from my website.
Very good. And where are you from?
I live in Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you for having me.
And moving down the row, we come to James Peter Yusevich. Is that...
It's Lithuanian with a little bit of a Russian influence there in those countries, the Baltic area. Things kind of get mixed up a little bit.
Okay. A little exciting territory. It's kind of new to us Americans. You know, we're now only hearing about some of these countries.
Well, I get asked about that all the time, you know, my name, and I just say, well, you know, Fyodor Dostoevsky, his name was changed to Phil Doe, you know, at one time, so.
Tell us a little bit about your books.
Okay, my books are adventure stories, action stories, thrillers, and you might call them event books. That's how they're described now. They'd make good movies. So if you want to get some entertaining books, ACE Vanguard, Miocene 2, and my most recent, Footsteps in the Attic, would fill the bill.
Yes, they look very good. Wonderful, exciting covers. Tell us a little bit about the cover on the front of this one.
Okay, Miocene 2. The cover it looks like a skull, which it is, and it's actually the skull of an ape. It involves a project called the Miocene 2 Project, and the book itself is a mystery suspense novel. The background for it is the debate between creationists and the evolutionists, and that's kind of the center of the story, but it's quite a fun novel to read. May I read a little bit of the back trailer? Thomas Mulberry planned to take his wife, Marjorie, on an extended vacation away from the stress of his job as a private investigator and her work in a university laboratory. When a letter arrives containing $2,500 in cash and a mysterious request, the two, along with some friends they meet along the way, find themselves in a high-stakes race to find the truth behind the secretive Miocene 2 project. Their quest takes them around the world and leads them to the powerful and influential seekers of the truth, men who desperately want the ancient scrolls dating back to the great library in ancient Alexandria. Gaining possession of these scrolls is the final piece they need to control everything from commerce to scientific research and everything in between and establish their own kingdom. It's a very exciting novel. Now, my latest is called Footsteps in the Attic. This one also is a very exciting, entertaining novel. It's about the search for a fortune teller who suddenly vanished. It'll keep you up at night, believe me.
And where are the books available?
Best thing to do right now is to go to authorjim.blogspot.com. It'll get you to my website and links to other places. That's authorjim.blogspot.com.
Thank you. Okay, now we're on another side of the field, and we're going to speak to Janice Winchester. Her book is titled Travel and Sights, the Holy Land. Now, how did this book come about?
Hi, Nancy. I'm so glad to be here with you and to say a little bit about the Holy Land. I traveled to the Holy Land and was amazed the amount of information so that no one could go over there and think there wasn't a man here by the name of Jesus who was born, lived, taught, and died there in the Holy Land. So as part of that, and looking at it from a research and evidence standpoint, I looked at wow, what's here? Well, you have eyewitness in the Bible. You have archaeological findings that continue to prove the Bible. You have scientific and medical findings from the shroud. All of that is just an enormous, overwhelming amount for a beautiful country, mountains, desert, rivers. We know the Jordan River, the Sea of Galilee, and the Mediterranean. So it's a beautiful area, and thank you so much for asking. You can find this travelphotobooks@gmail.com.
Thank you. We are speaking to
Bob Hart. I'm a veterinarian and an author. Been writing for quite a number of years. I write about just about anything that comes to mind. Animal stories, and at the moment I'm writing on an international spy thriller based in Africa where I grew up.
Where are your books available?
From Amazon on Kindle. I have 2 that are in pre-publication stage, just waiting for the covers to be completed, and the one that I'm still writing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been Street Talker with Nancy Tansy Busher. Please join us again as we meet artists, authors, and craftsmen from Florida's Gulf Coast. You may also visit Artist Kaleidoscope, where we talk with artisans about their life, work, and art. All links are listed on our website, artistkaleidoscope.us. Thank you.